Hello, everybody. We're going to go over the study guide today for your quiz coming up next week on rates, constant of proportionality, and identifying proportional relationships. So the first section is simplifying ratios. The number one says the ratio of upside down winks, or upside down to winks. So in looking at the smiley faces we have here, there are 4 that are upside down, and then there are 2 that have winks. Now remember, with ratios, you do need to simplify them. So 4 and 2 are both divisible by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So your simplified ratio would be 2 to 1. Question 2 asks the ratio of glasses to total emojis. Well, we have 6 with glasses and 12 total emojis. So to simplify 6 to 12, we can divide both by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. So our simplified ratio is 1 to 2. Moving on to the next section, it says, find the rate. All answers need to be simplified proper fractions, simplified improper fractions, or integers. No decimals or mixed numbers unless otherwise stated. Question 3 reads, Sam can plant 20 plants every 12 minutes. At that rate, how many plants does Sam plant per minute? Well, we're looking for plants per minute. So make sure you're writing your keywords down. That's going to help guide you with where to put which number. Okay, so we have 20 plants in 12 minutes, and then we can of course simplify this. These are both divisible by 4, which means that our final answer, 20 divided by 4 is 5, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. So it's 5/3 plants per minute. Number 4, Sally is an expert sandwich maker. Sally makes 23 sandwiches every 9 minutes. At that rate, how many sandwiches does Sally make per minute? So our keywords, we're trying to find how many sandwiches. I'm going to abbreviate that. Per minute. And we have 23 sandwiches per 9 minutes. I cannot simplify that. So your final answer is going to be 23/9 sandwiches per minute. Calvin decorates 8 cookies every 1 2/3 minutes. At that rate, how many cookies does Calvin decorate per minute? So we're looking for cookies per minute, which means that 8 goes on top, and then 1 2/3 goes on the bottom. Of course, we want to make this an improper fraction. Whole numbers we put over 1. So really what we're doing is 8/1 divided by 5/3. We know when we divide with fractions, we have to keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep 8/1. We're going to change division to multiplication, and I'm going to flip my second fraction, and that's going to leave us with 8 times 3 on top and 1 times 5 on the bottom. I cannot simplify that any further, so 24/5 is our simplified answer. Okay, moving on to the second page. We have some more rate fractions. It says Mrs. DeVito sells 2 1/2 bowls of strawberries every 1 2/5 hours. At that rate, how many bowls of strawberries does she sell per hour? So we're looking for bowls of strawberries per hour, which means 2 1/2 is going to go on top, 1 2/5 on the bottom. We have to convert them to improper fractions first. So that's going to leave me with 5/2 on top divided by 7/5 on the bottom. Next, we want to keep, change, flip. And that leaves us with 5 times 5 on top, which is 25, and 2 times 7 on the bottom. I cannot simplify 25/14, so your answer is 25/14 bowls of strawberries. Question 7. Elle loves to ride her new bicycle. Last week she rode her bike for 48/5 miles in 2 hours. At that rate, how many miles would you expect Elle to ride in 1 hour? So we're looking for miles per hour. says that she rode 48/5 miles, so that's going to go on top, in 2 hours, which goes on the bottom. I'm going to set up my division problem. We have 48/5 divided by 2/1. Next, we want to keep change flip. And then you always want to check, we haven't had to do it in the previous examples, but check to see if you can cross simplify. I see that I have a 2 and a 48. They're both even numbers, which means I can divide them both by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 48 divided by 2 is 24. And now we're just multiplying our numerators. 24 times 1 is 24. And 5 times 1 is 5. So your final simplified answer is 24/5. Question 8. Mrs. Levine paddleboarded 5/6 of the distance between 2 beaches in 3/8 of an hour. At this rate, what fraction of the distance between the 2 beaches can she paddleboard in 1 hour? So we're looking for distance per hour, which means 5/6 goes on top, 3/8 on the bottom. We're going to set up our division problem. I'm going to just do it over here. Again, we want to keep change flip. So that's going to leave us with 5/6 times 8/3. Looking on my diagonal here, I can see that I have even numbers. 6 and 8 are both divisible by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And that's going to leave us with 5 times 4 on top, which is 20, and 3 times 3 on the bottom, which is 9, which means our simplified answer is 20/9. Okay, the next section, it says use the following table to answer questions 9. The relationship between x and y is proportional. What is the constant of proportionality between y and x? Well, to find our constant of proportionality, remember we want to divide y by x. Now it is saying that the relationship is proportional, okay? So the best thing to do is to just pick one set of numbers. I'm going to use this first column here, and I'm going to set up y over x. So really what's happening is we're dividing 1/2 by 2/3. Again, it's division of fractions, which means we keep change flip. And that's going to leave us with 1/2 times 3/2, which equals 3/4 as our constant of proportionality. Remember, a constant of proportionality is just a unit rate. Number 10, again, what is the constant of proportionality? We already know that it's proportional. So again, we're just going to divide y by x. I'm going to use this column here because my numbers are not fractions. My y is 2. My x is 1, which means our constant of proportionality is 2/1, or just 2. Now we have equations. Notice it says answer as an integer, simplified fraction, or simplified improper fraction. No decimals. So remember, your proportional equation follows the format of y equals Rx, where R represents your constant of proportionality. In this case, we have it already written in that format, which means that the fraction right here, 3/8, is our constant of proportionality. 12. What is the constant of proportionality in the equation for y equals 10x? Now remember, when we have our equation in this format, you cannot have a coefficient in front of your y. So in order to get rid of the 4, since it's multiplication, we're going to do the opposite, which is division. So that means my constant is 10/4, which can be simplified. They're both divisible by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that means we have a constant of proportionality of 5/2. Okay, moving on to the next page, question 13. It says the following graph shows a proportional relationship between x and y. What is the constant of proportionality between y and x? So again, you'll see that you have some points plotted. I'm going to look at this first one right here. The coordinate of this point would be 2, 1. Remember, the first number represents your x-axis, and the second number represents your y-axis. To find our constant, we're dividing y by x. So that's going to leave us with 1 over 2, or 1/2, as our constant of proportionality. Question 14 at the bottom of the page. Does the following table show a proportional relationship? Explain why or why not. So again, we need to go through each one and divide our y by our x. Put that up top here to see if it is in fact a proportional relationship. So for this one, we've got 3/5 divided by 3, which if I put that over 1, then we do keep, change, flip. That's going to leave me with a constant of, I can cross simplify here, of 1/5. Okay, so that's the magic number we're looking for. Let's do the next one in green. 4/5 divided by 4 over 1. We're going to do keep, change, flip. I can cross simplify here. And I see that I'm also going to get 1/5. So far it looks good. Here, y over x, well, my y is 1, my x is 5, so I get 1/5 for the last one. So yes, this would be a proportional relationship because you get the same constant of proportionality for all your points. Question 15 says, select the best answer to describe whether or not the graph shows a proportional relationship. Now, we should know by now that in order for something to be proportional on a graph, it needs to start at the origin. It needs to be linear, which means it's a straight line, and your constant of proportionality needs to be the same for all points on your graph. So I can see I have a point here at 1, 2, and I also have a point here at 4, 8. If I were to divide y by x here, 2 divided by 1 is 2, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. So as we can see, it starts at the origin, it's a linear line, straight line, and my constants are all the same. So the correct answer here would be D. This is a proportional relationship because it is linear and passes through the origin. Okay, moving on to 16. Circle 3 answer choices that have the same constant of proportionality as the equation y equals 2/3 x. We're looking for one equation, one table, and one graph. That's correct. So here I can see it's in my proportional equation format, which means our constant of proportionality is 2/3. Looking at A, remember we can't have a coefficient in front of our variable y, so I'm going to divide both sides by 2. That's going to cancel there, and that's going to leave us with y equals 3 over 2x, and we're looking for 2/3, so it can't be A. Looking at B, we're going to divide both sides by 3, and that's going to leave us with y equals 2/3 x, which is what we're looking for. So B is correct. Let's look at our two tables. I can see that in this column right here, if I divide y by x, that's going to give me 2/3. And in this column right here, if I divide y by x, that's going to give me 3 over 2. So the correct one would be C. And then looking at our graphs, the first point right here is 2, 3, which means that dividing y by x is going to give me 3 over 2. So E is incorrect. My coordinate here is 3, 2, which means my constant would be 2/3. So B, C, and F are the correct answers for this one. And that does it for the study guide for the quiz coming up on rates, constant of proportionality, and identifying proportional relationships. Have a nice day, everyone.